Hello and welcome to this video lecture, which is part of Unit 5 of our program on media laws. I'm Aju John, and in this video lecture, I will discuss how different legal systems approach the recording of proceedings in court. Now, it should be quite obvious that the recording of proceedings in a courtroom improves the openness of justice. For one, it improves faith in the legal system. Secondly, it improves the quality of decision making because judges can revisit the oral arguments that were made before them during the proceedings and the answers to some of the questions that they had asked from the bench. Thirdly, and quite importantly, it can reduce the inaccuracy of media reports about court proceedings. This last point is very important in the Indian recent context. In 2012, the judges of the Supreme Court took exception to how the media had reported the dispute between Sahara and the securities regulator. This had come on the back of the Supreme Court considering whether to make a law degree compulsory for reporters and journalists who wanted to report from the court. All of this contributed to the Supreme Court deciding in March 2012 that it needed to frame guidelines for the media coverage of proceedings before it. It even constituted a constitution bench to hear arguments on the issue. Eventually, it decided not to issue any guidelines. However, it created a new remedy. A party before a court can now request the court to issue an order to postpone the reporting of the proceedings before that court. Now, apart from being a step that the court can take to reduce inaccuracies in media reports of proceedings before the court, providing a reliable record of court proceedings has some other advantages. As I have said before, judges can revisit oral arguments during their deliberations. Secondly, a record of proceedings increases scrutiny of both lawyers and judges and therefore increases faith in the legal system. As you can see from the news reports on your screen, the Delhi High Court has been very serious about not allowing anyone to make an audio or a video record of the proceedings before it. It has even given orders to detain the litigants who have attempted to create such a record. Quite strangely, the court even tried to send one of those litigants to a mental asylum. In December 2012, the Supreme Court also received a proposal to record its proceedings on video and archive those records. No decision has been taken on the proposal yet. Let us now quickly look at how courts in the United States and the United Kingdom have approached cameras in their courtrooms. In the United States, there is a blanket ban on photography and television cameras in the courtrooms. This comes from Rule 53 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. In media interviews with sitting judges of the Supreme Court of the United States, most of the judges have said that their reluctance to change this situation stems from the fear that their colleagues will start playing to the gallery. When decision making at the judiciary often requires judges to play devil's advocate and ask uncomfortable questions. Exceptions to the blanket ban at the federal level have been created through pilot projects approved by the Judicial Conference, which is a conference of senior circuit judges. At the 1990 session of the Judicial Conference, a decision was made to commence a pilot program. Several courts were part of this program, under which the presiding judges could now decide whether to permit cameras in the courtroom. In 1996, the Judicial Conference decided to stop the pilot program, but allow all appellate judges the discretion to decide whether to permit photography, radio coverage, or television broadcasts of their proceedings. In 2010, another pilot program was commenced, this time for civil proceedings at the district courts. Under this program, the presiding judge has the discretion to permit cameras in the courtroom, subject to the consent of the parties. Also worth noting is the Sunshine in the Courtroom Act. It is a legislative proposal to authorize a presiding judge of a US appellate court or US district court to permit the video recording of court proceedings over which that judge presides, except where such an authorization would lead to the violation of the due process rights of a party. A situation similar to what is contemplated in this legislative proposal exists in many state courts of the United States. Presiding judges of the courts have the power to allow cameras in the courts. The California law, for example, prohibits some types of television coverage, such as the jury and the spectators. However, it also provides a list of 18 factors that a presiding judge needs to consider while deciding on a request for camera coverage. The Supreme Court of the United States, which has been most resistant to the idea of having cameras in their courtrooms, has since 2010 released audio records of proceedings before it. These audio records are released at the end of every week. As you can see, the website of the United States Supreme Court has a list of all available audio records. Any member of the public can either listen to the record of these proceedings on the website itself or download them. As I have said before, this can go a long way towards improving the credibility of the judges and reducing the inaccuracy of media reports about proceedings before the courts. Now, let us quickly look at how the courts in the United Kingdom deal with cameras. Similar to the situation in the United States, cameras and audio recording is ordinarily prohibited. The prohibition flows from the Criminal Justice Act and the Contempt of Court Act. The one exception is the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom, which was established following the Constitutional Reform Act of 2005. Under Section 47, proceedings before the UK Supreme Court are recorded and routinely broadcast. In fact, Sky News broadcasts from the Supreme Court live on their website. And with that, we've come to the end of this video lecture, where we have noted the advantages of having a reliable record of court proceedings. We've also discussed the increasingly friendly attitude towards cameras in the courtrooms of the United States and the United Kingdom. Please attempt the practice exercises before you move to the next unit. Thank you for watching.